between Francis
Okay.
and Smith is already.
Ladies and gentlemen, council members, all at the same time. You looked at it. We're going to call the meeting to order.
I like where your head's at.
Okay. If I lose my voice during the course of this meeting, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Perfect.
First of all, we need approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. We have a lot to get through, so I'm going to hold everybody to their time limit. No disrespect. We just want to get through it and have as much information as possible. So first up on our discussion is the Police Guild CBA. We've allotted 5 minutes for this. John Henry, welcome.
Thank you, Councilman. A little closer. Thank you, council members. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. We are pleased to report that we've reached a tentative agreement for a 4-year collective bargaining agreement with the Police Guild. That 4-year collective bargaining agreement will cover 2023 through 2026. And as far as the economic components of that, I think the two key notes there are wage increases over the term of those 4 years of the contract that should keep us ideally competitive with the local and state market on law enforcement contracts, and increases that have been provided over the last several years, and tentative agreements that have been reached with comparable employers there. Another notable piece of that would be incremental increases to the education premiums in the contract that are paid for associates and bachelor's degrees that will ratchet up over the term of this contract to get us, as again, within the market comparability for compensation for education within police collective bargaining agreements. Other notable pieces of this agreement that keep us competitive and give us an ability to recruit and retain officers include changes to how we look at longevity and vacation to take into account experience at other employers. That is something that has not been common in law enforcement, is becoming more common, but is it common in other public safety fields like fire, where longevity experience with other comparable employers is considered within that calculus. So this will give folks, when we bring on lateral officers from other departments, give us the ability to take recognition of the experience that they have with those departments, which should help us bring in lateral candidates. Not all other law enforcement agencies are doing that currently, so that should be something that keeps us sort of on the cutting edge of recruitment retention on that piece. Other notable components of this contract would be changes to the OPO section of the collective bargaining agreement. 3 notable changes there that are worth mentioning here. The first of those would be the ability for the ombudsman to conduct independent non-disciplinary investigations in addition to mediation. A second component there is the ability to investigate matters of serious concern that occurred within the last 5 years. Currently, that's 1 year, both under departmental policy and the collective bargaining agreement language for the ombudsman. The third of those components being some additional discretion for the ombudsman to participate in the process for the selection of the deputy ombudsman. There are some other components in there as well that are important, one of which is a residency preferencing incentive, as well as acknowledgement for bargaining during the term of this collective bargaining agreement for any civilianized work that may be found in plans that we may have as the city builds those plans for civilianization of certain components of work. So all of the bargaining obligations would still remain there, but we've mutually acknowledged that to the extent that those opportunities present themselves and are available, that we can bargain those during the term of this collective bargaining agreement. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions or answer any questions that you may have.
Questions? Go ahead, Councilmember.
Well, not a question. I'm just wondering, process-wise, will there be, prior to the point where we vote on this, will there be an opportunity to hear from, say, the guild president on the contract? I haven't heard any input from the actual officers, and it'd be great to hear
I have
from them.
no objection from us.
Okay.
I don't know, he's here, I don't
And
know.
when we present on Thursday, I'm happy to cede some of the city's time to allow.
Okay. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Thank you, Mr. Henry.
Thank you very
I was just
much.
going to mention, Mr. Duncan, are you currently in that role or not? But on Thursday, if you want to talk, feel free. Yeah, great.
Okay. We're good. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Next up is confirmation of mayoral appointee, Director of ICM. Hi, Ms. Fife, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Councilmember Kinnear. Actually, I'm going to present both Marcia Davis for appointment to the Director of Integrated Capital Management and Dan Buller to the Director of Engineering Services. I am really excited to be here to present both of these employees to you for promotion to these important positions. They've both been serving in this, it's amazing, their career paths were relatively similar, and they've both been serving in interim positions for the last several months in these jobs. Marcia has been with the city for 17 years and has started as an associate engineer and has moved her way up to senior engineer, principal engineer, and then as acting ICM director. Dan, somewhat similarly, has served with us for 19 years, again, starting as an associate engineer, moving up to a senior and then principal, and then as interim director. We did go out competitively and sought candidates, and these two rose above all the candidates we looked at. So we have good quality employees here at the city, and we're really happy to present them for promotion to you.
Questions? Go ahead.
Where's Dan?
Where is Dan? Out negotiating something, I'm sure.
I just got to say thank you. It's nice to recognize our own employees that we have the talent here. And when we have opportunities to raise them up and promote them, it's a wonderful thing. So thank you.
Yeah, we are served well by
Yes,
both of these employees.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And then I think I'm next anyway.
Are you also doing the GFC update?
I am.
So stay there.
Okay. So Jacoby, I did drop a presentation in there. So this is just, we've been coming every month to kind of update you where we're at with the education process and outreach process around general facilities charges. So this is our June update. So the Mayor's GFC Review Committee we've had 5 meetings with that committee, and we have essentially completed our education series with this group. And we'll have one more meeting to receive feedback from the committee members, and we're working on that timing. We want to give them time to go back to their colleagues and the groups they represent to make sure that they have the opportunity to come up with their full feedback. As far as additional outreach, we've completed presentations to the Association of General Contractors, to the Housing Action Subcommittee, to the Sustainability Committee. We still need to present to the Equity Subcommittee, and I am scheduled to go to the Low Income Housing Consortium in August to present on these as well. We are continuing our email outreach to stakeholders. We've updated the city's website, so if you want to see any of those meetings, the recordings are there if you're interested. And we still have some work with the PDAs, as Councilmember Cathcart is well aware, and Councilmember Biggs, or Council President Biggs. And then we also are getting together with our colleagues in Community and Economic Development to discuss the funding option for incentives. I wanted to go over a couple things that the review committee has been exploring, just so you can kind of see the level of detail we've gone into with this committee. One of the things they were particularly interested in is what it looks like if you do 1 or 2 zones on the water side. As you know, what was approved for that March 2024 date, it's 2 zones. 1 zone makes the traditional waiver area more expensive, but 2 zones makes the upper South Hill and Indian Trail and other areas more expensive. They also asked about interest. So when we put existing assets within the GFC calculation, we have the option of adding interest over 10 years past that construction project. For example, I use the Shadle tank a lot. The Shadle tank cost us about $300,000 to build, and then that goes into the calculation at $300,000, and then we're allowed to charge interest for the following 10 years after that, and we base it on that ENR index that we're using for other calculations. So most cities that we've seen use the interest calculation, but that's something that the committee wanted to look at and what kind of difference that would make. We're also been exploring the last time on the difference between equivalent residential units and meter capacity units. And I'll show you a slide on that. It'll be interesting. And then we're also, we've presented this idea about how a 5/8 meter option would look. So these are numbers that we presented to the committee. So you can see the low and upper zones charges that would take effect under our currently adopted plan in March of 2024. And you can see how that changes if we do a citywide calculation. And we can even see where that dropped interest makes a little bit of a change on the water side. And then here's what just removing interest does. You can see that removing interest on the water side takes it down a little bit from that 3/4 inch meter in the low zone at $2,800 would drop it to $2,200. And on the upper zone from $10,004 to $9,006. On the sewer side, we see a little more drop from the removal of interest, and that's because there's more assets in the existing system, and they're newer assets, larger assets. The water system is a little older, right? So you see the difference, but not charging interest on that. It goes from $74.61 down to $56.39. So interest in this case represents a carrying cost. So basically, the citizens who are already part of our system invested their money into water and wastewater system assets. And the interest calculation is designed to give them credit for making that investment versus an investment in something else. So it essentially would represent the interest you would earn if you would have put that money in a bank account for them. So that's where that comes from. And different places do it differently. Because we use original cost, that's where interest is a calculation that's often used in Washington State. And then we looked at this equivalent residential unit versus meter capacity equivalency. And basically, there are just two ways to scale up the charges. So, for example, in an ERU case, if one ERU, which equals about 1,100 gallons in our system, if you took everybody's average water use and divided it out by all the residences in the city, you'd be at about 1,100 gallons per day. And so if you consider that one ERU, a connection that would require 1,400 gallons per day is 1.3 ERUs, for example. On the MCE side, you say that 1,100 gallons per day is what's being delivered by our base, the 3/4 inch meter. And at full capacity, that meter is 30 gallons per minute. So a customer requiring a 1-inch meter would receive 50 gallons per minute, and so their cost goes up 1.67 from that base meter cost. So it's really how you scale up the costs rather than that initial cost being that much different. So because here is that base cost, this is the upper and lower zone, and we'll look at a citywide zone as well. So you see the difference on the water side, for example, in the upper zone is $10,400 under the MCE measure, and under the ERU, $10,285, so a little over 1%. And on the sewer side, we're seeing about a 6.6% difference. If we did go with an ERU, we would want to do an extensive study on the sewer side because this is more of an estimate. We don't have as much ERU data on the sewer side, but this would be what we would recommend if that's the way the council wanted to proceed. And you can see the differences again in the lower zone are quite similar, and then if you went with a single zone. The challenge is we're going to provide our review committee with examples of how this works. So the question is how you scale up, right? So what would a 100-unit apartment complex pay under the ERU model versus the MCE model? And so those kinds of examples are what we're going to present to the committee so they have really real-world examples of how this plays out. And then 5/8, we wouldn't change in this case the base. We'd still use that 3/4 inch base, but we're looking at when could 5/8 meters be appropriate. And especially when we talk about implementing Spokanescape and that, so if you have a lawn and you've implemented really low water use landscaping, it could be appropriate also for a smaller lot size or a significantly smaller home size, and maybe some of those ADUs that we're looking at. So a 5/8, we've calculated that charge as $1,800 in the low zone and $6,900 in the upper zone. So a significant savings. Yes, Councilmember.
I'm just wondering, do you know what the gallons per minute difference is between a 1/2 inch and the 5/8? I'm just wondering why 5/8 and not just go to the 1/2 inch?
I don't know that a 1/2 inch is really an option that's used, but I don't know if Lauren's here. I don't believe that, we don't have, I don't think, 1/2 inch connections in our system.
Okay.
We do have the 5/8 connection. So I think it's something about, that maybe that's too low for water pressure reasons
Gotcha.
and so forth. So 5/8 is something that's in our system today.
And so what is the maximum gallons per minute?
It's 20, I believe.
Okay, but and you were saying that under under the previous calculation, 30 was the minimum? Is that? did I
So
understand that right?
3/4 inch is a 30 gallon per minute. So we
Okay,
wouldn't
okay.
change the base and base everything off of this size because we really think this would be something that would have to be
niche.
evaluated and looked at, right? So whether your property would be appropriate for a 5/8, but to have this option in the toolbox gives you some options around, particularly around single family residential or that ADU connection. So a 5/8, a 3/4, a 1. We actually have a 1.5 too in our system. So you're in the where most of the meters are is going to be in that range. And now we have multiple options for people to choose and really decide how they're going to, what their costs of development are.
And just one more follow-up. So you said that we're still looking at it. So are we confident that it will work? And if so, then ADUs, but also if we do move forward with small lot development, could this
Absolutely.
be applicable
Yeah,
there?
so what we just need now is we need to work with developer services to come up with the parameters. I say this could work because I don't have approval yet to charge that charge, but that would be something that staff would recommend that we add.
Okay.
And we're going to work with developer services to come up with what the guidelines should be. So how many fixtures or that kind of thing, just because that's something that they know pretty well. So we want to make sure that the water department and the developer services teams agree. But we think 5/8 to have in the system would be a great additional option,
Great, thank you.
especially when looking at affordable housing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we're at today. Those are kind of the things that we've been looking at. We'll continue to collect feedback and bring that forward. We're just going to keep meeting with you every month, and I'm happy to share some of these concepts and ideas that we're looking at. And different people have different opinions on this, as you would suspect. So it's going to be a good challenge for all of you to have to consider the various bits of feedback.
So questions from Arlene? She croaks. I just have a request. You've done a great job facilitating the meetings. There are several very loud voices in those meetings, so I would ask that the next meeting we be very cognizant of making sure everybody gets a chance to speak.
Absolutely. Agreed.
Thank you. Anything else? Marlene, thanks so much.
Thanks,
Appreciate it.
Marlene.
Thank you. And we can send
SBO.
this up to you because I know those numbers flew by quickly.
Yeah, that'd be good. Next up, SBO quarterly range changes for 2023. We've got 5 minutes for this. Is that going to be enough for you?
Plenty, council
Okay.
member. Thank you for letting me be here today. I just wanted to briefly go over why you've seen so many range changes this quarter. The Human Resources Department has recently grown our analyst team and has allowed us to work through a backlog of close to a year for range changes. Hopefully you all received these in the briefing paper. I'd just like to be able to answer any of the questions that you have regarding those.
Does anyone have questions? Has everybody read them?
Looked at him.
Wrong answer. Questions?
I think I was the only one who was honest. I think that's what it was.
I don't think we have questions.
Okay, thank you, council. I appreciate that.
Thank you. But we know where to contact you if we do in the future. You know where I live. Yes, thank you. All right. Cannabis Special Review Fund. I'm not sure. Are you briefing that?
Special Revenue Fund.
Yeah.
I don't know if, yeah. Yeah,
Okay. What did I say? Review? Revenue.
So this is just a piece of housekeeping, just as a reminder for all council members. Last year at during the budget process for 2023, we capped the amount of cannabis revenue that was going to be going to the general fund. It was a historical amount of roughly $500,000. It's been growing at kind of an exponential rate. The reason to do so was to have the surplus of the $500,000 and what we were anticipating to receive, which was probably going to be likely about $100,000, maybe a little bit north of that, to go to drug prevention, education, and education. Did I say education? Prevention, education, and intervention. I'm sorry. I know Councilmember Cathcart had talked to me a bit this morning. Council President Beggs has also talked to me a little bit about this. We want to make sure that we are allocating a certain amount of funds to the police. This just really, this isn't to take money away from the police department that they have historically received. This is to put the special revenue into a special revenue account and then transfer back those funds over, and then that delta is the amount of funding that's available for those intervention, education, and education. Intervention, education, I don't know.
Prevention.
A lot of TIONs.
Yeah. Question, go ahead.
Yeah, I would just say, so, yeah, per our conversation this morning, I mean, I think as drafted, this really is sweeping funds away from the police. I know that's not necessarily the intent, but I think that's practically what it does. And so we had talked about an amendment that would, I think, avoid either the perception or the reality of that occurring. And so I think if we can amend this, I'd be supportive, because we did agree last year to use that delta for education. So
Right,
I'm
right.
okay with continuing to do that.
Right.
And I, just so you know, I had the same concern for the other side. I was like, no, it needs to say that this.
Right.
And Matt talked me out of that probably the same way he was trying to talk you out of your thing. But I think the agreement is the same.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of what's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
And I think it's the way that it'll probably be written is a minimum of a percentage or a dollar amount goes to police, unless amended by council in future years.
Go ahead, Councilmember.
So just clarity, last year we had this discussion around confidential informant money, drug
Right.
seizure, possession, and the discourse we had over that. Then we
Right.
realized cannabis money could be used for educational purposes, so we investigated that. So those other funds could go directly to police, where they could spend them the way that they saw fit, but this would be the educational pool, and the two would be separate. So
Correct.
that was where I left off. So why are we thinking we would be sweeping one way or the other?
So what we agreed to last year was we weren't, council still has to approve the civil forfeiture funds of how it gets spent. And the police had outlined some priorities for that. But the agreement we had last year was anything above a certain amount of the cannabis fund would go to education, leadership, teen intervention pieces. But right now, there's not a mechanism. So we did that in the budget, but right now, there's not a mechanism for doing that. So this fund would allow us to do that more formally. But police were still going to get a portion of the cannabis fund.
Yeah.
That was the agreement. They were going to get a portion of it, as they have.
And yeah, and that
But the
hasn't
growth
changed.
But this fund will continue to grow. The growth will continue to go to education.
Right. Right now, the way that these funds are is they go directly into the general fund, and really directed towards police. There was a revenue of, and I'm just going to use numbers that are rolling around in my brain. I think it was $650,000 is what we said was going to be the revenue for the cannabis tax. What we did is we lowered that revenue from $650,000 to $500,000 within the general fund. Invariably, what happens at that point in time is it restricts that $150,000 worth of spend, right? So you can't spend the $150,000 of revenue that you haven't necessarily said is coming in. So therefore, it goes into the reserve account. What we're doing now is we're saying, okay, all of that revenue that's received is going into a special revenue fund, and we are saying we are going to dedicate what it is that's going to go to the general fund instead of the other way around.
I'll just add one little thing. I'm not entirely sure what the makeup of the, ledge team and whatnot is going to be next year in the future. But one thing I would like to see us push for would be an expansion of the revenues from the marijuana taxes. I mean, I think cities, counties, we're told they'd get a lot more at one time. That really hasn't come to fruition. But I do get the sense that there is maybe this kind of increasing interest from some of the regional municipalities to maybe pursue that, and so there could be an opportunity. So,
Definitely. I mean, the state is obviously receiving a lot of revenue for this, and they're allocating it, and they're the ones that hold the purse strings on that side.
yes.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, we've been talking about this for years, since it became legal. And to me, what's important is that we know where that money exactly is going, to make sure that it's going to what we're supposed to be spending it on. So this makes sense to me that we've got a
Yeah.
portion going here and then,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, it gives it a little bit better of a tracking mechanism
Right.
to do that. You know, we can decide what's going directly to police and then hold into this special revenue fund what you want to program those
Right.
funds to do outside of that.
And that we can ask publicly, how did this money get spent? And we could get a list of where the money went, which is another purpose of those funds, is to prove to the community that we're spending those funds the way we were supposed to. So,
Exactly.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Matt? Great, thank you. Grant use of traffic calming funding. Not sure who's briefing this. Abby, welcome. Can you do this in 5 minutes?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so. Good afternoon, thanks for having me. 3.7 before you is around grant use of is using the traffic calming fund as a grant base in an arrangement with Spokane Police Department. Historically, traffic calming funds have been used to support police activity on traffic calming measures, but it's been done sort of retroactively through an SBO. What we're trying to do in this agreement is set forth parameters whereby we say, okay, as long as you are doing X, Y, and Z as set forth in the agreement before you, you can ask for a grant from the traffic calming fund. So it's just a forward-looking change, almost like a memorandum of understanding, and using the traffic calming as a grant based on agreed-upon principles between SPD and council and the traffic calming subcommittee.
Question?
I was just going to amplify the two
Thank you.
measures right now are one, a pilot project of purchasing and installing 12
Yes.
devices in patrol cars that can do radar while the vehicle is moving. Police would like to equip a lot of cars with that, but we said let's try with 12 and see if you actually use them and get the results for the next year. And then the other one is for some targeted, I think they call them directed speed patrols, and it was affecting racing on the north side and some other high-volume arterials, particularly Upriver Drive.
Upriver.
It's been the latest one that's been problematic. But it's the same thing. There's criteria, and when they satisfy the criteria, we sign off on it and pay an invoice for them instead of the old way, which is we just gave them money and hoped that they would use it.
So in the past, when it comes to SPD, I mean, the idea was that we put money aside out of traffic calming because we were trying to get them to do patrolling in specific areas, schools, parks, that sort of thing. So is this then changing that to say that we're just going to kind of blanket fund them for just patrolling citywide? Is that the change?
No, so actually that is something we need to address. So we had put significant money to say, hey, you can, like hundreds of thousands of dollars, up to 9 officer FTEs, but they have not chosen to do that. This is much smaller. This is $75,000 a year, so $25,000 per district.
Okay.
So it's much, in fact, but that is the one thing, I'm glad you brought up, I meant to, we need to adjust, and when we get to the mid-year SBO, that $950,000 that we budgeted for that they're not going to use, we need to put that back in the traffic calming. It hasn't been, it's just sitting there,
Yeah.
but we need to do that paperwork, because that model is not working for them right now.
So one of the challenges too was they're relying on overtime
Yes.
for these things. And last year, it became clear that no matter what, officers were saying, we don't want to do that overtime. So there was money left unspent. When they do agree to the overtime, then we have that bucket of money that can be used to mitigate some of the things you're seeing in your district, all of
Oh,
our
yeah.
districts,
Oh, yeah.
actually. And
Everywhere.
it's a problem, and people are not happy about the racing, the noise, just bad behavior in general. So fingers crossed this will work.
Right.
Okay.
And I was also just going to add that we anticipate something similar with streets.
Yes.
And that's not in your presentation
No.
today. So, and there's twofold. One is They want to buy some specialized equipment for protected bike lane maintenance, snow plowing, sweeping, and things like that. So they're going to ask for some money for that. But secondly, they're going to ask for one supervisor person who's 100% going to be dedicated to doing that work, and then we'll be able to pull from the crew of other people as needed and can get reimbursement back for that. Because right now, they're only getting maintenance, once or twice a year. And so this will be the same kind of thing. There'll be a grant agreement to be accountable, to make sure it's targeted. And they're super excited to do that. Great.
Yeah, and it gives us precedent to use this type of framework moving forward.
Any other questions for Abby?
Thank you all.
Thank you, appreciate it.
I'm next, I think, too.
Yes.
I think I'm your next two.
But before you go on.
Okay.
I have this outlined in yellow, which means that we need two sponsors. Do we have any?
Council President, for one. Traffic calming.
Yes. Okay. Councilmember Sapone is your other sponsor. Go ahead.
Thank you. Okay. 3.8, approval of the traffic calming list of prioritized projects. So this is part of getting our traffic calming program moved away from this annual cycle, which is sort of a real monster to kind of keep moving forward, and onto a 4-year cycle. So last summer, a series of workshops were conducted. Neighborhoods came out and said, here are our up to 5 top biggest issues in our neighborhoods. When I came on board, there were staffing changes. I came on board, and in May, we held our second round of workshops. Neighborhoods came out. Council had paid for Dow, the engineering firm, to say, okay, take all of these concerns that neighborhoods brought to you and now propose some potential solutions. They were really great interacting with the neighbors, and neighbors walked away having prioritized their list of, based on the proposed solutions, here are the things that are most important to us. We now have a project list with 138 projects from neighborhoods all across the city, all 29 neighborhoods. And that's the list that we're seeking to move forward with over the next few years with traffic calming. Not that one, a different one.
Sorry.
It's okay. Discussion or questions?
Questions? Good. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I've already talked to Council President about this. He kind of wrote out first draft, but I have some ideas for this that we'll touch base over the week.
And you'll be the second sponsor.
Thank you. And we're looking to brief you all and then be on your agenda July 10th.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. 3.9. That will be approval of new speed radar cameras. That, Councilmember Kinnear, is the invisible eye test sheet I put before you.
Okay.
There are, per RCW, there was approval to, or precedent to put in new speed radar cameras. So these are not photo read, these are the speed radar cameras, and in select zones. So within 300 feet of a school, within 300 feet of park property. So that is not necessarily a park, but like High Drive or park-owned property would count, and then 300 feet of hospitals. Neighborhood councils by resolution submitted their areas that they would like to have a speed radar camera installed. Council members, heavy with council members' Sapone's input, but council members then put in new proposed locations, and Spokane Public Schools submitted about 15 locations that they were concerned about. So you have before you that list. As you can see, I think that there are 38 total on there, and there have been many different copies of this document around. So I do have some amendments that have been made to it. So I hope you have the most accurate one. But things like up by Sakani Park, which is county, we have to work out some of that. But and then Council President put one on around Altamont and the Ben Burr Trail. So there have been additions over time. But these are the proposed new locations. 100% of the funds after costs we would get to keep in those school location zones, and then 50% in the hospital and park property zones get repaid back to the state after cost. So those are your proposed locations, Councilmember Cathcart.
And these are going to get narrowed to around 20, correct, over time? Because I don't think we've allocated enough for 40.
I think that
It
we're,
doesn't cost anything.
yeah, the contractor only starts paying themselves back like over time.
But some of it, is some of it then dependent upon PD and the company approving the location?
Yeah, we've,
So there's still, my point
company
is there's still
will.
process
Yeah.
to
The
go through.
company, we've shared with PD and Streets, and they haven't had any feedback. But the resolution that adopts this says contingent on the vendor doing it, because they will make sure that it makes sense.
Okay.
yeah. And then I know that there's like some data collection questions and interests around where we might get the most bang for our buck in terms of safety and also funds that we get to keep. Where does that make the most sense? The school zones, for example, run for 2 hours a day, and so, but the park property, for example, would be all of the time. So some questions to still figure out, but we're hoping to do that in negotiation with the contract.
Yeah, I have a question as to how heavily involved the vendor will be in helping us to determine the location, because while I guess I want to understand their criteria for
Yes.
determining whether something is good or not.
Yes, and that's what we want too, is they're the experts in what makes sense and what's able to be
Their
done.
main criteria is whether there's enough volume of speeders to
Make money.
justify the.
Well, that's right. That's what
Right.
I'm concerned with, is that it's.
But
it
that's
is
in
that.
our contract with them already.
Yeah.
They always have that.
Because there might be places on here that, that we've asked for that they might say is not a bad location, and I might want to say, I disagree, and what's our process then?
Well, in the past, they haven't consulted with council. It's
Right.
been between Streets
Right.
and police and them. But I think if we get a list back from them of what they approve or not, and we feel strongly, I think we can go back to them. We just need to make sure staff includes us. In the past, we've only done 1 or 2 every few years, and so it hasn't been like it was just straightforward. But with this volume, potentially, and this doesn't mean they'll all go into effect right away. It would just be kind of the work plan going forward.
Yeah.
But I think we can put maybe in the resolution requesting staff to report to council if the vendor doesn't want to do one. I think we could just put that in.
Just be prepared. There's going to be pushback from the community on some of these too. They're not going to agree with, especially on the ones on arterials.
Yeah.
Sorry, on arterials.
Yes.
Oh, that reminds me, do we have to have Streets do a traffic study on the ones that we've indicated that we want on arterials?
For speed, yeah. I think that's in the resolution.
The tubes,
Okay.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it is subject to traffic studies for
Okay.
some of them.
Thank you. Any other questions? Abby, thank you.
Thank you all.
You're the second sponsor on that one, too? Councilmember Zapone, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right, I think now you are up. Councilmember Spellman, interim parking regulations for housing. Both
And
of
we
you.
have slides for that.
We have slides.
Excellent. I'm
We
excited.
have slides.
Popcorn, get it? Nice. All right, so Councilmember Zapone and I are bringing forward an interim ordinance here to consider reducing the parking minimums around transit areas within half a mile of transit to hopefully spur some more housing in along transit zones. So we did a lot of community outreach to a lot of interested groups. Councilmember Zapone and I have our circles that we run in, and thankfully both of them were very interested. So we reached out to FutureWise and the Realtors Association, SLIC, Home Builders, Lands Council 350, ABC, and everybody we reached out to was very supportive of the idea. But basically, it's a 1-year pilot to waive the required parking minimums for residential housing for development within a half a mile of transit. And basically what we're trying to do is find these tools to help us address the housing crisis. And As many of us are aware, in 2020, the Housing Needs Assessment found that Spokane needs an estimated 6,000 units in additional housing per year, or not per year, additional housing, which is about 357 per year. Countywide, that number is about 30,000. We have declared a housing emergency. Our housing action plan was suggested certain ordinances, other things that we've done, along these lines. Our BOCA, obviously, which we know has been a great success for the city, and we're looking forward to that becoming more permanent. And one of the proposals in the housing action plan was to reduce the parking requirements near transit. And so that's what we're bringing forward. And we know that we see in other cities how parking reform has been a powerful tool for development. And with that being said, Councilmember Zepone, do you want to take her over?
Yeah, I would also just add, we're calling this Pavement to People, Reducing Barriers to Cut Housing Costs.
Yes.
This is kind of building on the previous Pavement to People, which was about incentivizing downtown surface parking lot. So this one is now on the reducing barrier side, and parking is a barrier for a lot of housing, both for BOCA, for other developments and such. So that's kind of impetus around it, and parking reform addresses that housing, economic, and environmental issues. So when it comes to some specific examples of that, the cost of parking could add up to 15% of the house or a multifamily unit, which if a $300,000 house, that could be somewhere between $20,000 to $45,000 per parking stall. Multifamily units, that's per unit. And those costs get passed down to the tenant or to the homeowner, whether they use the parking spot or not. So if you're not a driver, you still have to pay for that, whether you use it or not. This has been incorporated across the country. I think you go to the next slide. Yeah. So it's been incorporated across the country. And cities are implementing this on an interim basis, a permanent basis. They're doing it citywide, commercial and residential. We're proposing just residential, just along transit corridors, so a much narrower version. But in 2022 and 2023 alone, cities of Raleigh, North Carolina, Nashville, Tennessee, Anchorage, Alaska, Richmond, Virginia, San Jose, California, and Bend, Oregon have all eliminated minimum parking requirements. So in this case, Spokane would not be a trendsetter like BOCA, but we would be following a national trend. And what results has that produced? If you look at San Diego, after they eliminated minimum parking requirements, they saw a 400% increase in affordable housing proposals just in their first year. A study found that 3 years after Seattle and Buffalo eliminated their parking requirements along transit corridors, that 60 to 70% of the new houses would have been illegal before their new housing. So this is truly a barrier. You go to the next slide. A second part of this ordinance is about debundling parking from rent. So right now, we prohibit parking to be charged separately than rent. So people have to pay for the cost of the car, whether they have a car or not. It adds to the cost of their rent. This does not prohibit it from being included and bundled together. It just says that it can be separated. And so looking at studies, that shows that it could add up to 17% to a unit's rent. So for a $1,500 a month rental, that comes out to about $3,000 a year just for parking that you cannot opt out of. You can opt out to park on the street, not have a car, or different options. Again, this does allow landlords to still charge, whether they want to or not.
And did you meet with the landlord association or tenants?
Tenants, yes. I did not talk to landlords. Did you talk to landlords?
I can't remember.
Don't think we talked to the landlords, but we did talk to the tenants.
Okay.
They were not signing on, but they were not opposing it either.
The reason why I didn't think necessarily to reach out to the landlords is because we were reaching out to the developers who are going to be building, that are going to be dealing with the code, whereas the landlords are managing properties that are already built. So
yeah, this is really on the develop side. The key thing here that we want to be super clear about is that this does not mean a developer cannot create parking stalls for their developments. Parking will still be built. Downtown Spokane hasn't had parking development for a few years now, and parking's still being built. The Warren Apartments were an underutilized space. They created hundreds of units, and about 70% of those units have a parking spot still. So it's just underneath, and it creates that multiple level. So it's not prohibiting parking. It is allowing the market to decide how much parking to be built. Yes.
When you say that that doesn't have anything to do with existing, but you could redevelop a parking lot, take that away, right? And
Yes.
that would affect all the existing renters at that. apartment complex, theoretically.
Yes, but again, it's about the market too, right?
Yeah.
So if a developer were to do that and get rid of all their parking spots, they could lose tenants because Spokane is still a car culture. People need it. So if they don't have anyone to rent out their places, then they would lose their tenants. So it's both. And as mentioned earlier, I think the last slide's up there. Yep. These are the organizations that have already signed on in support. The Spokane Low Income Housing Consortium, FutureWise, Spokane Realtors Association, the Lands Council, Home Builders, Associated Builders and Contractors, and 350 Spokane. So a broad coalition of people that don't normally work together, people who don't think work together, Councilmember Bingle and I, working together on addressing this issue. And we hope that this will pass unanimously, just like Boca did, but definitely open to conversation and ideas. So this is bringing it to committee today. So other questions or concerns or ideas?
I have one.
Yeah.
Who did the PowerPoint?
Jeff and I.
Congratulations. It's not an eye chart, and people can actually read it from home, so thanks for that. Any other questions? Council President? Nothing? All right, good job. Thank you.
Thanks.
Street name change, West Dean to Joe Albee Way. Not sure who's briefing this. Ah,
Hello there, thanks for having me. My name is Taylor Burbrick, and I'm an urban designer in the Long Range Planning Department. I just have a brief presentation today regarding file number 23215 STNC, and this one is sponsored by Council Members Bingle and Zappone. It is an application by the Spokane School District to change a portion of West Dean Avenue to Joe Albee Way. And all the details are in your packet, including the application, a letter of support from the city's Historic Preservation Office, and a resolution from the school district's Board of Directors in support. In addition, just this morning, we received a letter of support from the mayor's office. I've already got it up, thank you. So as you can see on this map, we're talking about the 920 feet between Howard Street and Washington Street. The podium is directly south, the Canopy Credit Union is south and west, the arena is due west, and the new downtown stadium is under construction to the north. You can go ahead and go to the next slide. Very similar. Since Joe Albee Stadium is no longer in service, Spokane School District has submitted this proposal in honor of Joe Albee. This portion of West Dean is not contiguous with any other section of Dean Avenue, and there are only 2 addresses along the roadway that would need to change. The applicants performed all their due diligence. The project was at Plan Commission for a workshop on the 14th, and they'll be headed to the hearing on the 28th. The recommendations from that hearing will be taken to council in July. So with that, I'd like to introduce Sean Jordan, who is the Chief Operations Officer for Spokane Public Schools, to speak on behalf of the project.
Good afternoon, council members. Thank you for this opportunity to present Spokane Public Schools' interest in renaming a small portion of Dean Avenue between Washington and Howard to Joe Albee Way. As you are probably aware, Spokane Public Schools, in partnership with the Spokane Facilities District, is building a new stadium in downtown Spokane, adjacent to the Spokane Arena, the podium, and the Spokane Civic Theater. This new stadium will be the home field for Spokane Public Schools' soccer and football teams in the center of our district, which we are very, very excited about. The PFD will maintain and operate the stadium after construction is completed, saving the school district significant operational costs. In addition, the PFD will use the stadium for professional sports, concerts, and other entertainment events when not in use by the school district, resulting in significant community and economic benefit to downtown and the greater Spokane area. At this time, if you'd advance this to the next slide, draw your attention to kind of the lower left area of the current schematic. To recognize the legacy of the former stadium's namesake, Joe Albee, the school district has included in the design of the new stadium an area near the front entry to be named Joe Albee Plaza, which will include a display plaque and the statue of Joe Albee, also referred to as Joe Fan, once located in the former stadium. And to further recognize the many contributions Joe Albee made to sports in Spokane, the district has submitted this street name change application to the city of Spokane. We understand that Dean Avenue is the middle name of one of Spokane's early settlers, Chester Dean Ide, and the section of Dean which the school district is requesting to be renamed to Joe Albi Way is actually disconnected from the main portion of Dean Avenue, which will remain in the west part of Spokane. Given the city of Spokane owned and operated the former Joe Albi Stadium for over 60 years, we are in hopes the city will partner with SPS and the PFD to approve the street name change request in time for the grand opening of the new stadium in September of 2023. We have provided a resolution recently approved by the SPS Board of Directors in support of the street name change application. And I would close with reminding all of us that Joe Albi Stadium has a rich history and has been an important part of the life to many Spokane residents. Changing Dean Avenue to Joe Albi Way is an excellent way to honor contributions by Joe Albi, as well as express appreciation for our community that holds countless fond memories of experiences at Joe Albi Stadium. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Questions? Go ahead.
Yeah, I guess, so my sort of single litmus when it comes to a street name change is, does 100% of the property owners support the change? And in this case, you said there's just 2 property owners left, and I assume one of those is Spokane Public Schools. So is everybody in support of the change?
Yes, and you have a letter of support from the CEO of the PFD, Stephanie Curran, who
Very
is
good.
the other property owner.
Okay, very good. Thank you, guys.
Go ahead, Karen.
Just very quickly, first I want to thank you. This means a lot, and I know it means a lot to the Joe Albi family. I worked with them many years ago regarding some issues with the Albi Stadium. But the thing that I'm most excited about is you would not believe the calls that I get asking about Joe Fan and where Joe Fan is going to be placed. So now that I know, we'll be able to tell people that he's safe and he will be displayed prominently and people can go down and see him.
Yes, absolutely.
Perfect.
Oh, my
Thank you.
goodness.
Thank you.
Who would have thought? Okay.
I know.
Do you have a question? Okay. Anybody else? Council President.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great to see you, Sean. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you coming down.
Thank you.
Next up is broadband infrastructure expansion. I think Steve McDonald's going to, no, Eric Finch. Are you, Steve, are you?
I think Steve is also here to present.
Okay. Oh, and you
But I
have a
think-
boo-boo on your arm. I'm so sorry.
But I think Eric Polson wanted to be pretty involved in this, right?
Okay.
Yes, as I think you know, through several conversations we've been having with the council and some members of the council, including Council President Beggs and Councilmember Cathcart, we've been looking at how to try to better set policy initiatives and goals for what we wanted to achieve through broadband. And so this kind of started off as a draft that we submitted, that was really trying to kind of set both those things. What are the policy things that we're trying to achieve, and what are those goals that we're trying to achieve as we look at broadband and the city assets that we have available to help. And so this, working with the council back and forth, became the ordinance that you see before you now, with the only addition since I think the last time that this has been briefed of a data privacy addition, which I think is a good addition. And we support, early on, this is probably 5 or 6 years ago, we were kind of creating an internal data platform and working with Avista and other community partners. We created an internal data privacy policy that was based on state guidance. So I think we have that as a starting point to enter into that part of the conversation, and we can bring that forward when it's, I think, reviewed and prepared. So we're in fully support, from the administration standpoint, and happy to answer any questions that you have.
Any questions for Eric? Okay. I think we're good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right.
That was a lot of work for you, Steve. All right. Next up is Lamont Street Funding Opportunity. Welcome, Mr. Harris.
Good afternoon, Council. So District 81 approached the city with the request to fund a portion of the Lamont Street just west of Sacagawea as they're finishing site construction around the area. A portion of the street is their responsibility to repair. The other portion would be the city's responsibility. So in an effort to make sure that the area is improved and ready for the school children, there's an opportunity to leverage the contractor already doing the site improvements for the school district there at site to complete some of the maintenance work on the street. So the request is to allocate $100,000 from the CTAB fund to fund a portion of this work.
So can I add something?
Yes, ma'am.
Also, this is a residential street that has a lot of heavy use. So while it is a residential street, it's really not used as a residential street because of its adjacent school, and then across the street is a community garden. So there's a lot of use going on in that particular location. And school buses are using this as well, is that correct?
They will not be when the school is constructed. As
Okay.
part of the new site construction, the buses will route through a different
Okay.
way.
But nonetheless, there's a lot of traffic that goes.
This would be for the resident, or for the citizens to pick up their children.
Yes.
More than
Yeah,
anything.
okay. Go ahead.
Is this an official recommendation of the CTAB committee? Because my understanding is they have not been able to get a quorum. Members are not showing up.
Yes, there wasn't a quorum, and so there was agreement amongst the members in attendance to approve this, and so that's what the request is
Okay.
for council.
But it's not based on an official action since they didn't have a quorum.
Right.
Okay.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
Commercial for council members to recruit people for CTAB.
Yes.
Districts.
Yes. Looking.
It is on our website, we put something up. So, thank you. We're at the end of our agenda, I know. Amazing. And the next meeting will be at 3:30, just briefing. Thank you all, and we'll see you in a couple minutes.
I know. Taking notes.